Hello everyone, and welcome. Lucy and I are out here today. We just want to get a couple of odd jobs done around the cabin. Anne had a whole lot of paperwork to catch up on from work. So she was staying home and doing paperwork, and I figured I'd get out of her hair and come out here and get a few little things done. I want to clean out the fire pit. I've got an idea for a quick fix for a patch on that stove jack roof. And a few other things we're going to take care of. First thing I want to do is pull this off. I've got an idea for a temporary fix. So here's that piece for the roof. Now, I always have a little piece of plastic kicking around in the cabin somewhere. So I'm going to try and cut this, we'll say right here. And we'll say from here to here. So from here to here. And then we'll just try and straighten out this edge just a little bit. Okay. And now, Gorilla Tape. I'm going to start from the bottom. And tape that on. And then I'm going to work my way up. Making sure that as I do so, I overlap the lower tape. Because this is our top edge. So if it does rain and the water drips, it should go down the tape. Acts kind of like a shingle. So now that we have the outside done, making sure that everything is It's stuck on there nicely. So now it's got the clear plastic on the inside, the Gorilla Tape on the outside. That should help keep the rain out for now. Job number 2, cleaning out this fire pit. This is an old steel bucket that I leave here. I use it in the winter, so sometimes I melt snow in there. But it's also my all-purpose bucket. Now, just down the trail here, there's a little ravine that drops down. I'm just going to go pour this down in the hole. And there we have it. We've got our fire pit back. We used that fire pit quite a bit last fall because that's the 3rd bucket I pull out. Next job, all the wood that Ann stripped last time we were here, I need to move it out of the way because eventually I'm going to have to use that sawhorse to cut them up to fit the cabin. So now we have use of our sawhorse again. So when we come back and we're ready to work on the cabin, I can start grabbing those logs and cutting them to length. So that's one more job done. Perfect. So while I have the bucket and shovel out, you'll remember that I said I wanted to put a bit of sand and gravel in the bottom of the cabin. This is going to be a long, tedious job. So I figure if I get started now, I can move a few buckets, I can do another job, I can move a few buckets, I can do another job. It won't all be completed today. But if I do a little bit every time I come out, eventually the job gets done. So here we go with bucket number 1. This is going to take a while. Got quite warm out, so I took off my jacket, changed into my vest. That gravel's not as clean as another spot where I did the same thing. Dug under the tree and found a whole lot of gravel. This one seems to have a bit more sand in it. It's not going to be quite as clean as I was hoping for, but at the very least, I can somewhat level off the floor and our cots won't be rocking around anymore. I've been hauling dirt for a while now. Time for a bit of a break. So I'm going to do something a little less strenuous. Okay, so I need to cut that right about there. I mentioned when I built the woodshed that I wanted to cover the roof with debris and call it good. But when I was looking around in the cabin, I found this tarp I forgot I had left here. And now I'm thinking, if I hang the tarp over it, tie it in a couple of spots, eventually when I find the right stick I need to build a rake, or actually bring a rake out, depending on which one comes first, when I get enough debris, I can just throw it on and cover the tarp with it. It'll still have that debris look, but the tarp will help keep the wood a lot drier. I cut this pole with the intention of tying the tarp to it. Trying to make sure I'm somewhat centered. And I want to carve just a little bit of a notch. Just so that the paracord has a little bit of a groove to bite into. Doesn't have to be all the way around. Just as long as it gives me a little bit. Not. Not, but leave it open. Run my string through. And tighten it down. And then lock it in with another knot. See where my tarp's going to end up. Carve a notch. Piece of paracord. Simple overhand knot. And another one. Tail through. Leave it open. Go through the tarp. Around the log into the notch. And then you want to come through the loop in the same direction that the tail is sticking out. And then simply ratchet it down. Then I like to tie an extra knot in it, and I wrap it around the entire knot and cinch it down. And that way, I know it won't come through. That knot is now locked and not going anywhere. Now I just have to do the other side. And once again, that knot is called the Canadian Jam knot. It's also called the Arbor knot. It's also called the Butcher's knot. And the Bushcraft zip tie. So from what I can gather, you can call it anything you want. And I think I've tied enough of them now that I think I'm just going to start calling them the Andy Jam. It is a jam knot after all. So now that I've got the tarp tied onto my pole, my plan is there's a little groove here between the tops of the logs and the tree. So I'm thinking if I put it in that groove, so now the tarp is in place, and with the logs hanging here, I can always add just a quick Andy Jam just to hold it in place at both ends. And that should do a fantastic job of keeping the wood dry. And now we've got the tarp on. That should do a whole lot of good. I think all I'm going to do now give it a quick tie around one of these logs in the center and at the bottom. And that should hold it in place. And then, like I said, once I get some debris, I can start piling debris, cover up the tarp, and that'll do a terrific job of keeping the wood nice and dry. So the tarp is about a foot shy of covering everything. But that's okay, because I have all these branches that I cut from these logs when I trim them. So if I pile those here, that will just help out with a little bit of airflow coming in from underneath the wood to help dry it. So the last time I was here, I moved all my wood that was over there into here. And I had covered it with this tablecloth. So now that the tarp is there, I removed the red tarp, and that should stay relatively dry. I'm going to see how it goes with leaving this front open. And if I notice it's getting too wet in there, then I may just hang a tarp down the front. It'll still get plenty of airflow from the sides. And when I hang the tarp, I could always hang it so that it stays up about a foot above to let airflow in from the front as well. We'll have to see how it goes. Now the woodshed roof is covered. I'm going to start hauling more buckets again. I don't know how well you can see in here, but I'm pretty much almost up to the wood pile here. I need to get this wood pile out. And then at some point, I can put more gravel down in here. Once I've got most of it done, I'm going to have to move this wood pile so that I can get gravel underneath it. And then put this pile back here where it is. Because my cot goes on this side. I need the wood on this side so that I can load the fire. The wood's got to come out of this side. When I'm done here, this is where Lucy's bed is going to go. Seeing as I still have this red tarp, I may as well put it to good use. Make it a lot easier to get the firewood over there. So that one pile of wood where Lucy's bed's going to be is now all in here. So that's quite a pile for now. Oh. Filling up those buckets is getting a little hard on the knees. And when we camped out here for our hammock camping in the rain video, we camped up on the hill. Now, where I set my hammock, there was a fair-sized dead standing tree there right next to the hammock, and I didn't want it coming down on me in the storm, so I cut it down before setting up the hammock. But it's still up there, dry. I think I'm going to go and cut parts of it off, carry it down here, and I'm going to cut it up for firewood for the outside fire and stick it under the table. I knew I was probably going to be tackling this thing at some point today. I need to cut it down into manageable chunks that I can carry down the hill. That's why I brought the Katanaboy. That's solid. And it was dead and standing there 2 years ago when I started coming to this spot. So this should be fantastic for the outside fire. I might even be able to use some of it for the inside fire. I'll be able to carry that down the hill, no problem. That one tree gave me 4 pieces, roughly about 8 feet long. Now I got to carry them all down the hill and get them to camp. You may not be able to see how steep this hill is, but maybe going down with one of the logs might help you. Anybody who says camping is easy has clearly never been camping with me. That was one trip down, 3 more to go. Oh, that's one log. Now to go get the other 3. Two down, 2 to go. Luckily, the last 2 are a bit smaller. And now to start cutting firewood. Now, when I cut firewood, I always cut it to fit in the wood stove. That way, if I need it, I've got it. If I use it outside, it still burns. So start slow. Try and use the full blade. And then when you get both hands into it, it's not about downward pressure. You're barely putting any pressure at all. It's just dragging it and letting the saw do the work, which it wants to. As you can see, it bites very hard. Time to bust out the axe and see if it'll split. So now we've got a decent amount of wood under the table again. Oh. So now I'm going to pull out my chair and relax for a few minutes. Oh, nice to sit and relax. Lucy's relaxing too. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's comfortable. So for something different today, I brought out my MSR Alpine 1.1 liter pot. And in the pot fits another of my stoves. This one is the Mastiff Gears stove. Which apparently doesn't want to cooperate today. There we go. That's an ash pan to go underneath. It's another gasifier stove, so it gets air from underneath. And the air goes up through these cracks and it comes out the holes at the top. Helps it to burn a little bit more efficiently. And then it's got this top that I open up. And it just sits right on top. And then I can cook with whatever pan I'm using. So I've gathered up a bunch of fine twigs. I'm gonna try and light those with flint and steel with a piece of charred cloth. So that's burning good and hot. I'm gonna put some water in the pot and set that to boil. Let's look in the dry bag and see what we've got for dinner. Free cheese, KD. But this is the one with the shells instead of the noodles. I didn't want to bring milk to mix in the powdered cheese, so I brought a stick of butter. Oh yeah, that's boiling. So let's drop in our shells. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Stir it every now and again, just to make sure the shells don't stick to the bottom. And we don't want them to boil over. Maybe I should have let that burn down a little more. I also brought Johnsonville cheddar cheese, fully smoked sausages. Plan is, when the noodles are almost done, I'm going to slice these up and throw them in the pot. They're already cooked, so they just need to warm up a little. Here. Good girl. Good me. So while we're waiting for that, I'm going to slice up some of this butter. Like I said, I didn't bring any milk. So I'm just going to add a little extra butter. That should do nicely. So now that we've drained the water, we're going to add the butter. And the cheese. Maybe rest it on there a minute or so just to help melt the cheese and melt the butter. All right, let's try just the noodles. Oh yeah. Perfect. That was awesome. All right, so I'm gonna eat, and that stove is almost out. So I'm gonna let that cool down. So the nice part is the stove fits inside the pot. So when you carry the pot in your bag, you're taking up very little space, just the size of the pot. The stove's already in it. Dinner was delicious, but very sticky. So now I don't want to put the stove in the pot. There's no river here. There's no lake. There's nowhere where I could actually wash the pot out properly. So, and now that the pot is covered in soot, I don't want to just stick it in my bag. So I've got a grocery bag that I'll put that in. The stove still has its own stuff sack, so that's going to be fine. A lot of the floor is covered. Some of the wood has been moved into the woodshed. Woodshed roof is covered. Now I just need to build a rake or bring a rake and gather up some of these litter and throw it over on the roof of the woodshed. The wood from the cabin is now moved back here so that I've got room and I can use my sawhorse again. I've got firewood for the outside fire. We did a lot today. Thanks for joining me. It's always nice to have you around, keep me company. But now I'm going to finish packing up and head for home. So if you like what you saw, go ahead and hit the like button. If you want to see more of it, hit the subscribe button. And if you're going to do that, you may as well hit the notification bell. It'll let you know whenever we put out a new video. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.